Hello, Internet people. Welcome back to the Poke Historian. This is another episode of the Card Art Gallery. And tonight, we're looking at every single Mew card in English that was ever made. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and let's go ahead and dive in. Alright, first up here, we get the original Wizards of the Coast promo Mew. Artwork by Ken Sugimori. I know the background on this card is very basic looking, but for some reason I always like the colors on it. Here we have the holographic version of this card. This is promo number 9. One of my favorite cards of all time. Here we have the old Ancient Mew. Classic Pokemon card. Remember getting that at the second Pokemon movie. Big moment. Here we have the old Southern Islands, an old favorite of mine. If you don't know about this card, it lines up with two other cards to form a complete picture. So that's pretty neat. Here we have the Lily Pad Mew. Another artwork by Ken Sugimori there. I love how back in the day, Mew used to have kind of a light pink body and then dark pink tail and legs. I always kind of liked those accents. Gave it a nice stylistic feel. Here we have the Expedition Mew. Not one of my favorites. A little too fetus-like looking for me. But hey, I know a lot of people like it. This one's by Kusajima, who I definitely respect as an artist quite a bit. There's the holo version. And here we have Mew by Ria Ueda. Was this Legend Maker? That's right. Now we're getting more into the 3D artworks. Also from Legend Maker. Got an artwork by Koki Saito. I feel like this Mew's head is a little too big for its body, but it's not a terrible artwork. And now you can see how Mew's design has changed, where it no longer has the dark pink accents and the whole body is just the same color pink. So start seeing more of that as we move along here. It's the modern design of Mew. Here's another Mew by Ken Sugimori. And that is Holland Phantoms, another classic set. And here's the EX from Holland Phantoms. I used to not like this card, but kind of the more I look at it, the more I'm like, this is actually kind of cool. Kind of an interesting stance, and Mew's tail is coming right at you. Here we have Pop Series 4 Mew. I don't know about this one, it's kind of weird. Almost looks like it has like devil horns or something coming out of it a little bit. Weird. Here we have a Nintendo promo. Fukuda does really great artworks of Mew. I feel like the eyes are a little too big here though. And here's the Gold Star by Fukuda from Dragon Frontiers. Used to have this card, but I ended up selling it. Didn't like the idea of having a PSA 6. I kind of want to have something higher, so if I ever get this card again, I'd like to get a 7 or higher. Also, this is just like a personal opinion thing, but after having one of my own original Gold Stars, at least the Mew one, like it felt, this is going to sound bad, but it felt kind of cheap in person. Just something about like the texture on it and everything, it didn't feel as cool as I thought it would. But I know I'm probably in the minority on thinking that. Here's Pop Series 5 by Fukuda. This card is really cool. I'd like to get this one at some point. It's Delta Species Fire. Gotta love the Fury Mew. Here we got the Mew from Secret Wonders by Himino. Now that I'm looking at this card real closely, this is actually a cooler Mew than I thought. Kind of like this one. Simple but elegant. Here we have the Pokemon Rumble Mew. Never really got into the Rumble cars, but I know a lot of people like them. Here we got the Mew from Heart Gold Soul Silver Triumphant. It's the Mew Prime. Interesting dark rainbow colors there in the background. Here's the Mew from Dragons Exalted. Mew EX full art. Pretty basic. Dragons Exalted, Mew EX, non-full art. Here's a classic one from Legendary Treasures, Radiant Collection. I love this Mew. Not exactly sure what's going on in the background here. I assume it's flying out in space or something, but I do love this card. Like, what is this circle thing supposed to be? Is this supposed to be like a planet or something? I have never been able to figure that out. If you know, please let me know down in the comments. Here we have a black and white promo Mew. Looking pretty happy there. Here we have the Art Academy. That's a rare card. Forgot about this one. Man, would it be cool to have that. And look, there's a Xatu in the background. And there's a Magikarp. Man, cool stuff. Here's the XY promo with Mew with the flowers. Just enjoying its time out there in the field. Love this card. Here we have the Mew from Fates Collide by Arita. Huh, I didn't know Arita did this card. Laying in a bunch of leaves. Looking surprised. Here's a Mew EX. Pretty boring looking. XY promo. Here's a reprint of Lilypad Mew from XY Evolutions. Here's an XY promo Mew by Saruta. Looks like it's underwater there because there's bubbles around it. Kind of cool. Here's the Mew from Shining Legends, the Shining Mew. Before this, the only Shining Mew we had was the one that was exclusive to the Japanese language, the Koru Shining Mew. So it was cool with this card to finally get a Shining Mew in English. Still not as good as the Koru Mew, but I do like this card. We got Unbroken Bonds Mew by Sui. Not real big on that one. Mewtwo Mew GX. Pretty cool rainbow. Wouldn't mind having this card. Here's the full art. In my opinion, doesn't look as good as the rainbow. Like having like the purple background just doesn't work for this card in my opinion. Looks too plain. Here's the regular Mewtwo Mew GX. Absolutely love this card. As we've talked about before, what's going on here is that Mew is breaking Mewtwo out of the lab where it was created. So that's why there's all this glass and rushing water everywhere. Mewtwo is literally being saved by Mew. Don't know if that's canon to the story or not, but I think that's pretty freaking cool. I'd like it to be canon. Oh yeah, here's the one from, this is the Hidden Fates promo Mew. Remember getting this back in the day. Fukuda. Fukuda definitely got better at drawing Mew over time, that's for sure. Here's the actual Hidden Fates Mew. Used to call this Baby Mew back in the day. Pretty cool artwork, really, by Nishida. Here is the Alt-Art Mewtwo and Mew GX promo card. Love this one. Mew's just having the time of its life and Mewtwo is annoyed. Definitely an interesting pair of those two. Here's a reprint, the Hidden Fates Mew. Darkness Ablaze Mew. I don't know what it's doing here. Here we got the reprint. Ueda, part of the 25th anniversary set celebrations. Here's the blue gold Mew. Pretty iconic card from that set. And still pretty affordable too, so if you want that, go pick it up. Can't go wrong with a Shining Mew, y'all. Here's the actual Mew from Celebrations. I don't know what's going on there in the center. Here's the Mew VMAX from Fusion Strike. The problem with this card is it looks so much like a regular VMAX because of the background. However, it does have some cool stuff here if you take a look. It's throwing around some cars and looks like a phone booth there. And is that a bridge down there? Can't even tell exactly what that is. But long story short, it's actually cooler than it first appears. And then we have a building right there. So like the more you look at this artwork, the more there is going on, but they could have done more. Here's the Rainbow Mew from Fusion Strike. Pretty basic, but I think it works. Here's the Mew V from Fusion Strike. I've always liked the way Mew was drawn here, but I could never figure out what on earth was going on in this card. If you know, please tell me down in the comments, because I have not been able to figure this out. Seriously. Here's the full art from Fusion Strike Mew V. Tight. Here's the regular VMAX from Fusion Strike. So many Mews in that set. For 5 bands, not terrible. And here's my favorite Mew from Fusion Strike, this one. This Mew looks like it's ready to battle. It's got all these cool buildings in the background with different colors. Done by Mitsuhiro Arita. Definitely one of the better Mew cards. Here from Lost Origin Trainer Gallery is the Gold Mew. Crown Zenith, now this is a good Mew. We've talked about this card a lot, but I love this artwork. All the Pokemon watching it sleep. Here's the regular Mew V from Crown Zenith flying through the city. Mew EX from Scarlet and Violet 151. The Gold Mew. Triple star rarity. Pretty basic. Here's the full art. Mew EX 151. Here's a nice promo. Most of you know this one. Mew just flying through the town, looking on curiously at the residents. Old Bubble Mew. Everybody knows this card. Still crazy to think I bought this card for $90 a couple years ago. Now it's basically almost $1,000. What a crazy hobby we're in, y'all. Like, what is going on? To the point where it's almost just stupid. Here we got the Blue Mew from Paldean Fates. And that's actually all of the English Mews. How about that? Well, I'd have to say, y'all, after looking at all these back to back, Mew's artworks are definitely very hit or miss. There's some very good ones in here, such as the Crown Zenith one, such as even this one from Fusion Strike. Of course, you can't go wrong with the tag team ones. But then there's some other ones in here that are just kind of random, like this one, or even like that one, or that one. And it seems like, well, really, I think we see this with a lot of Pokemon cards. Like, the artwork starts off really strong in the early days of Pokemon, and then we go through like this mixed period where like the artworks just kind of decline to some level. And then as we've gotten into the modern era, there's been a pickup and there's been better artworks overall. So it's interesting to see that artwork suffered so much during the mid-era of Pokemon. But anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you can see when I do new videos. And let me know down in the comments what's your favorite Mew card. I would be curious to know. Alright, see you in the next video.